to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's WTF, Window Treatment Friday with Vitalia Vygovska. You know her as Vita. And as I think about it, this is probably a straight up Power Talk Friday show, because today we are going to learn more about Vita and her business, her career, and her superpowers. So I know a lot of the things about Vita's career. This is exactly how and why she impressed me so much, and I invited her to do the co-hosting of the WTF shows with me. But even I learned some new things about Vita today. And I was thinking about it. You probably don't know a whole lot about her other than her superpower of window treatments. So today, Vita and I are going to talk about her career, her system, her thought process when she decided to go from corporate to entrepreneurship, and of course, how she is always looking for ways to make the back end of her business much more efficient, and also the ways that she strives for communication and collaboration with the interior designers that she works with. A big thanks to Kirsch for sponsoring WTFs. Vita and I both rely on Kirsch for quality, innovative drapery hardware for our window treatment projects. From the Streamline Arch Attract series that we use for both pleated and ripple fold drapes to the decorative series like the Buckingham Collection and the Breeza Collection for motorized draperies. Quality, design, reliability. These are the hallmarks of Kirsch. Please go to Kirsch.com today to find a distributor partner in your area. Now, Vita is a certified window treatment professional. She has her MBA. She is an award-winning window treatment specialist. Vita is an author, a speaker, a mom, a wife, and a ballroom dance enthusiast who regularly participates in competitions throughout the year. Her company, Vitalia Inc., provides all-encompassing, concierge-level, tech-driven fabrication, measurement, installation, and project management services exclusively for interior designers. In business more than a decade, Vita and her team are experts in this narrow field of window treatments, providing designers with superb quality product and excellent communication. More importantly, they take off the stress, save time, and give peace of mind that your job will be done well. Now, I just want to take a moment here to talk about Vita's bio. Every single time that I'm noticing this lately, I'm sort of stopping the tracks and pointing it out to you. Think about the words that she's using. Tech-driven fabrication, okay? Experts in their narrow field, providing designers with superb quality product and excellent communication. These, when we talk about our Fred Burns only, these are not exclusive to Vita. Right? I have to always just stop the tracks now and tell you this stuff, because when I read the Vita's bio, tech-driven fabrication, that just speaks to me. Now, is Vita the only workroom in the world that their process is run through technology? That's absurd. But that's not, see, this is the lesson in this. You don't get stuck in, well, I'm not the only one that does that. You don't have to say, I'm the only tech-driven fabrication. You just say that my workroom is tech-driven in its fabrication, measurement, and installation and project management services. So when the show is done today, take a moment to think about what are some of the things that you are doing in your firm that are those like gotcha at hello kind of little words and statements. Don't worry that other people do them too. If they're true for you, then write them. and put them in your About You and in your bio. Okay. Now, they have to be true for you. We can't walk into Vita's, operation and see everything on paper and pen. We've got to see the tech driven, right? Okay. So now, before I begin my conversation with Vita, I want to announce a little goodie from my Doma studio. Let's call it a tiny little holiday present from them to you. Now, we all know that offering a discovery call design package is the absolute easiest way to bring in new potential clients. The discovery call is the very first step in closing the sale. But do you ever find yourself wondering what you should say, how you should say it in that discovery call? Well, my Doma studio has partnered with the award-winning interior designer and business strategist Claire Jefford, my friend and co-author, to help you overcome the challenge of the very important first step of the discovery call. So when you sign up now for a trial of My Doma Studio and you book a walkthrough call with the team at My Doma, you will receive a free copy of Claire's client discovery phone call script, right? The actual script, okay? So the amazing team at My Doma Studio can show you how to set up the discovery call package. And my friend Claire will tell you what to say so that you nail it every single time. Sounds perfect, doesn't it? Yep, I know. There's actually no expiration on this offer. I said it was a holiday gift because I think you should take advantage of it right now. So go to mydomastudio.com to sign up for your free trial and walkthrough and get these goodies from Claire. Alrighty, so I'd like to introduce you to Vita again. Hi, Vita. How are you today?
I'm great, LuAnn. Thank you. How are you?
I am really good, too. So, Vita, we have been doing these WTFs since the middle of last summer. We're like on a little roll here. And, of course, we're getting such great feedback from the designers and the window treatment community, right?
I know. It's pretty crazy. It's kind of amazing. We first started talking about it about a year ago, right? And then by the time it all happened, and the first episode aired in June. And my gosh, you know what? It seems like June is not such a long time ago, but it might as well be like either yesterday or 10 years ago.
Sometimes yesterday feels like 10 years ago. So here's the thing, Vita. You and I have known each other for much longer than that now, and I've gotten to know what a really smart business person you are. And what I love is that your skill sets are so opposite mine. Like, we have the window treatment thing in common, but beyond that, I just am in awe at some of the things that you're able to do and that you do.
That's nice.
I'm just like, whoa.
That means a lot coming from you, LuAnn. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you.
Well, it's the truth.
You're very kind. You are very kind. You're too kind to me, but thank you. I'll take it. You made my day. Okay,
yeah,
I'm done
that's
for this.
So, but I thought it was time that we share a little bit of that brilliance with our audience that's coming to know and love you as much as I do. So, Vita, tell us the story. Window treatments is a second career for you. It's not like you've done this right out of the gate. Tell us the story of what you did before, what was the job that you had and the type of skill sets that it required to be successful at that job, and then tell us how you came to open Vitalia Inc.
Oh, sure. So I graduated college, at this point, 20 plus years ago, with a degree in marketing and fashion merchandising, and went to work for a national retailer as a buyer. Well, first assistant buyer, associate buyer, then the buyer. And then about 3 years after that, I decided to pursue the marketing aspect of my major, and I went to work for Lennox China. And of course, everybody knows Lennox. We're 5 days away from Christmas, and I bet 95% of people listening will be eating their dinner off of either Lennox China or with Lennox silverware, or drinking their wine from Lennox stemware. But it was an incredible journey for me, starting off with a marketing assistant and ultimately deciding to exit the corporate world as a marketing director. But what combined both of these jobs is my responsibility for financials. And it's something that I definitely took into my entrepreneurial world as well. And that is, I'm very comfortable with the reports, P&Ls, balance sheets, cash flow statements. I'm very comfortable with all the ratios and formulas and really the foundational financial principles that make up any business. And so as a buyer, I managed a multi-million-dollar open to buy, which is essentially like a checkbook, and you go out and shopping with it.
Wow.
And yeah, it was pretty cool. And then at Lennox, I, together with my team, as well as many other departments within the company, we grew the collectibles division, retail collectibles division of the company from $2 million to $12 million over 7 years that I was there.
Whoa.
So that was a great experience. And even though anybody who has worked for corporate and either still there or has left it knows that it can be a very brutal world. Yes, it can. Yes, it has its perks. And yes, I did leave a very cushy position with a 6-figure salary and benefits and Sorry, I take that back. Definitely not corner, not quite with the director, not a VP, but whatever, window office, and I really had to start it all over again from scratch, from ground zero, essentially. But I think it's the skills, the communication skills, and the business skills that the corporate world taught me that I appreciate so much today, LuAnn. And even though because of how hard it can be in corporate sometimes, and there's a lot of BS and a lot of negativity, but it still holds a lot of truth and a lot to be proud of, and definitely a lot of lessons that it taught me that I've taken into the second career of mine.
And it's so true because I see all of that positive foundation in you whenever we're talking, whether we're talking on the show or we're just talking in real life or whatever it is. It's like it comes through that professionalism and that knowledge base where everything, like, I said, you have opposite superpowers. Everything you do is based on numbers and tech. we all know that I'm not based on numbers and tech. You know what I'm saying?
Don't forget
the spreadsheets, right? So, but it's interesting to, what's funny is of course I've had one job in corporate, and it was a very, very, very entry level job at 20 years old. So it's not at all the same. But even that 6 months that I did that job, I was just like, there is no way. Like here's what it was for me. I was like, I either have to be president next week or I can't stay here. Like, I didn't think they were going to make the 20-year-old president.
You're like the millennial 30 years ago.
Yeah, right. But it's just the thing is that I had no patience or stomach for the long form decision making, for the decision by corporate, by committee, and it's sort of like, we all know this is good, let's just do it, break, you know what I mean, like, put your hands in the middle, break, let's go, you know what I'm saying? And so I literally 6 months, I just was like, there's no way. And then of course I was lucky and ended up working with Vin, and of course the rest is history, as they say. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, that's very different than reaching a level that you reach, like you said, 6 figures, benefits, and taking a company from $7 million to $12 million in retail sales. I mean, that's such a success. And so that says to me, what was so bad about it? Like, and I don't mean like dirt and dish. Do you know what I mean? But like that, like if I were at that level and achieving that level, I would think that the satisfaction from that is a huge draw or aphrodisiac for it, right? So, but to understand, what was it at corporate? Was it at that point just sick and tired of the decision by committee, or what was the thing for you, or just it was time for you to be Vita?
Things always sound a lot better when you look at them in the rearview mirror. And they also sound a lot better when you give a 5-sentence summary of what your 10-year corporate career was like.
Okay, right. It's just a lot harder than that.
When you live it day to day, LuAnn, it's essentially just hit the nail on the head. I mean, you just did. It's the long form decision making and expletive. Can we please move on with it? Expletive.
Right.
Can I just make this decision and go forward and not have to waste 2 months of my life trying to convince you and you and you and 10 other people that this is a great decision. And then of course there's lots of politics, LuAnn. And there is, and there's a lot of backstabbing and things like that. And, none of it is really important at this point, 14 years later. But what it made me realize is that I think I was just under 30 then, that I could give a lot more to the world than what I was doing. And yes, $12 million is nothing to sneeze at by any means. And of course, I didn't do it alone. I had a team in my department. And of course, in corporate, you have all these other departments that support you. But I just knew that, or I had this drive. You know what it is? When you have this drive inside you, and when you feel compelled to do something, and when you feel pulled by the universe. And at that point, I didn't know that term at all, the whole universe and the good energy, whatever you put out, you get back. All of that I learned a lot later. But essentially now I can see that back then I was being pulled by the universe to do something that was a lot more productive. And for me, productivity is a very, very important concept in general, whether it has to do with spreadsheets or leading my life or leading my business. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to have an idea, consult maybe with some people if I was unsure, and then go and execute it. And I wanted to make it happen. And I wanted to have my boots on the ground and eyeballs to eyeballs with somebody, talking and having a real productive, meaningful conversation that moves the needle forward. And at corporate, it moves at snail's pace a lot of times. And I just felt in my gut that I could do more than that with my talents, I guess, and my capabilities. And just, I just felt pulled to do it.
And I have to say, I know that you're the type of person that also believes that everything happens for a reason and that all experiences benefit us. So I know that corporate experience really did benefit you, but it's just you get to the point where it's time for something else. It's you, as you said, you have a drive to do. And Vito, how many interior designers and window treatment professionals that we have in our community here that are the same way. Some are side hustlers now. They are in their corporate jobs and they are working their interior design or their window treatment business on the side. I get the letters from them, and they, mostly what I get the letters are, I have been listening to the show and I have been doing my design or my window treatment business as a side hustle. And this year I broke out and I went full time into it. And so I'm sure there's a lot of people, is my point, that can relate to having learned great skills from that environment, but really understanding that it's time for something else and a bigger vision for yourself as you as an individual person. So there's
truly a lot to be said about that experience, LuAnn, for sure. And the one experience in general that comes to mind is, for several years there were several layers missing between me, who at that point was, I think, like a marketing manager or something like that, and the president of our division. And so I reported directly to her. And imagine someone who is wicked smart, wicked fast, who talked in English, but I couldn't understand what she was saying because she was just using concepts. I was like, oh my God, what does she mean? Asking me to do things and bring reports and make decisions and make recommendations and create analyses and make inferences. And God forbid you didn't do what she asked you to do. She would slam her hand on the table and she's like, this is not what I asked you to bring.
Whoa.
And I mean, and you live through that. Oh my gosh, I just hurt my hand. You live through that a couple of times, and then you live through just a couple of board of directors presentations. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like, how am I ever gonna get out of this and get through this? And it feels so stressful. But you parlay this now to 10 years later, and I'm faced with sometimes very picky customers, very customers that are like quote unquote engineers who are very particular, or those that are CEOs of their companies and who want things now, they want them the way they want them, and not they want to go outside of your process. And guess what? I remember my boss, Martha Curran, who I've come to love and appreciate and have become great friends. And I remember her and I say, thank you, Martha, and thank God that I've had that experience in the boardrooms and all of that, that I can stand in front of John Smiths now and say, I understand, sir, that that's what you want, and we will do the best that we can. And our process is this, and this. And this is our next step. Would you like to go forward, and how would you like to pay for this?
Right. Right.
This
it's
is
so true.
The confidence that corporate gives you.
Well, I love that. I love that because, it is something that you do need to have, whether you get it from the corporate background training or you just earn it on your own bootstraps. But that is where I had that situation just a week and a half ago with a very high-powered individual, and he was not happy about something that happened on the install. So I went to review it, and he just started the conversation rude. Mm-hmm. He literally did. Mm-hmm. He just started it rude. He was demeaning. He was disrespectful. And I'm standing there going, you're 57 years old, and this man is talking to you like you're like a minute in business. And like my brain was frying. And I literally just kept saying, as I kept my mouth shut and let him have his piece, I literally kept saying to myself, 110% customer satisfaction, LuAnn. That's what WindowWorks delivers. 110%. Just keep your big fat mouth shut. I'm telling you.
There's also another concept, LuAnn, that you taught me personally, and I think everybody else who's been listening to the podcast, and that is, do you want to be right, or do you want to get
what you want?
Do you want to get what you want?
Right.
Exactly. And so it's a very fine line. It's a balance. But we also, I think we all know that it's important to stick to your guns as much as you can.
Well, and the thing is, the actual true learning, the finish of that teachable moment there is that he was not going to talk to me that way, but it was, how was I going to make sure he understood that he wasn't, right? And so it's like what you were saying a moment ago. It's like, Mr. CEO, I'm happy to do business with you, but it will be in my process, not yours. Do you want to go ahead? And that's what you were expressing. And the same for me. And my tactic was to not say a word the entire time he talked. Not one word. And even when, that moment when somebody stops talking and you're supposed to say something and you don't and they keep talking, I let that happen 3 times because I knew, I have been around the block. I knew this man, as soon as I opened my mouth, was going to jump in. So I literally stayed quiet 2 times. And then when he was done and he stared at me as if to say with his eyes, what the heck? I've been going on for 10 minutes. You haven't said anything. And then I looked at him and I said, well, what I'd like to explain to you is, and then boom, he came at me. And then you see, because I had pulled the rope and gave him the rope, now I looked at him because he didn't respect niceness. And at that moment, I just looked at him. I said, excuse me, I'm pretty sure I let you speak. And he just came back at me again. And then I went quiet again. And I didn't say anything, and he got all done. And he goes, well, and I said, I'll take my turn now if you're ready to give it to me. And that was just my way of like, dude, do not. Yeah. This is a give and a take. You know what I'm saying? And so there is that nuance. And so you learn that skill in the corporate to stand up and to understand when to speak and when not to speak, and to understand that there's certain people that are going to come at you disrespectfully. Not use the right words, it's just proper human kindness.
So it's such a shame that he was that rude and that forward. And there's definitely customers like that, and I've definitely come across those as well. And there's also, in addition to that, there's a whole sliver of customers that, they actually are nice and they use seemingly nice words and seemingly even nice tone, but they're bullies anyway, because they keep asking and asking and asking and pushing and pushing. Just a few months ago, I had a pretty interesting project with a CEO of a small biomedical company here in Pennsylvania, and it was originally was a full house worth of window treatments. It was around like $40,000, and then we cut out a couple of rooms or a couple of things. Went down to like maybe $30,000 or $25,000, and it was a lot of back and forth. And the order came to be very, very detailed. There was lots of fabrics and trims, and there was very complicated hardware. So there was a lot of back and forth that and adjustments that I had to the estimate that was a lot of very detailed to begin with. And so what happened, I actually made a mistake. And through all of that detail and the hours of adjusting it on various levels, I actually gave them the price of the roller shades at my cost.
Ugh.
And right, I know. And it's okay, it happens. But here's what you teach us every day, LuAnn, that your margin has to be strong enough so that when mistakes happen
You can
for
handle
various
them.
reasons and of various levels, you can handle it.
Yeah.
And so it was about $5,000 worth of roller shades at cost, but I could handle it. But what I'm trying to say here is that he came at me for a discount. And I said, Mr. Blah, 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 Smith, we'll call him. What happened was I actually gave you my roller shades at cost. So I'm already giving you a really, really good deal here. And this is the best price that I can do for you. And he kept pushing me and he kept bullying me. And what happened, I was going through a very difficult and tumultuous time in my business. And you know all about it. That was back in April and May. And quite frankly, I was at a point, I'm like, I don't give an expletive. I just want this over with.
Yeah. Yeah, we all get there.
I want to be done. And we all get right. And I acquiesced and I said, fine, okay. So we go through the order. I gave him whatever, not a discount. I think he wanted batons for free or something for free. So we go through the order. We install the order. Everything's fine. And then it's time for him to pay the balance. And he said, I would like to pay my balance on a credit card. I said, Mr. Smith, you know that we take personal checks. We do bank ACH. We do Venmo. We do Zelle. But we do not take credit cards. But this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to do. And he kept at me, and he started bullying me again. And now this is the scary part because everything's installed. I have no leverage, and he owes me, I don't know, $10,000-$15,000. And I already lost my ground once back at the beginning of the order. And so, on the balance, then I thought to myself, I am not doing this again, Vita. Do not do this again. You know you were wrong. I understand, like this is me talking to myself.
Right.
I understand why you did this. You had very limited time. You had very limited resources. Your bandwidth was completely shot and you just went with it. But do not do this again. And I did. And I said, Mr. Smith, I am not a credit card. These are your payments. This is what we did for you. Your check would be greatly appreciated.
Right.
And he did pay back.
Good for you.
But in the future, LuAnn, that was a lesson to me. Even if I have a $30,000, $40,000 order in the future, if I deal with the bully who keeps going at me, I will need to be prepared to walk away. And that was my big lesson.
No, it's the truth. I mean, we come to these lessons through experience. This is why I love doing, I'm going to do the What Would Lou Do? And I've done the masterminds because when you've been through this time after time after time again, it's not the first time that you handle it the best way. It's the 25th time. You know what I'm saying? But it takes skill and finesse. And of course, you cut your teeth like I did with your own customers and your own money and your own mistakes, or you cut your teeth in the corporate world, and both have their bruises, right? Because the corporate world, it sounds like it bruises your ego, it bruises your drive, it bruises other things, and it kind of ties you up in a knot. Yeah. And cutting my teeth and learning my lessons was on our dollar bills. You know what I mean? When LuAnn was a little bit too gung ho. So it's a funny thing.
We all learn lessons somehow. We have to go through that tunnel no matter what.
Exactly right. And it just does come with, having the ability to, if you do go straight to entrepreneurship, or you are an entrepreneur and didn't have the experience in a previous career of those really tense situations where, number one, you're getting faced with a lot of pressure with little information and you have to perform, or you're getting little feedback, or you're getting negative feedback. That's a lot of things to have on you while you're trying to produce something of value. And if you're learning that for the first time in your own business, the only way to do it is to hear the stories of others. I had no problem inviting you to be the co-host of WTF because I know that there is a solid business foundation there, that you have experienced what it takes to deliver customer service and what it takes to be with your profit on the line, and the decisions that you have to sometimes make to let that go and to eat it because it's your mistake. And I also want to take a moment. This is turning out to be like a little us dual coaching session here, isn't it? But I
didn't know where it was going to go, and that's where it's organically going. So let's just go.
Exactly. But I also want to take a moment to just point out, because I had a similar situation, and this is the big lesson is the reflection. So when your business was in turmoil in the spring of 2019, and for all combination of reasons, we all have a season in our business like that. It could happen once, it could happen every couple of years. It doesn't matter. But like to your point, the hindsight looking back. But it is important to do the looking back and to see, why did I make a mistake where I should have sent an invoice out for $10,000 and I sent it for $5,000? And you said, I look back and I could see that I was under pressure and lots of things were happening. And I remember the same thing happened with me. I had a big project one time with a designer, and it was the ultimate project ended up being a $200,000 window treatment project, and I didn't sell one piece of fabric.
That's great.
Right. All labor. And there was probably 15 or 18 shades involved. But it was an entire house. It was like a 15,000 square foot home. And basically the designer is supplying me all the fabric and the trim. So I'm pricing, fabrication and installation, $200,000. So you can imagine the revisions on this project,
yes.
Right? The quoting process, right? The measuring.
I can't even.
Right. The measuring and the quoting process went on for about 8 months, and just, measure and then go back and requote and blah, blah, blah. And we ultimately get to we're at like, the 16th generation of this quote here. And, she asks me to meet her for a final meeting, and I can't fit the meeting in the time frame that she wants, because I'm going, and she literally calls me like on a Monday and says, I need to see you this week. Well, I was flying to a funeral for my godfather. And I said, I can't do it this week. And no, it has to be this week. And I'm like, I really can't do it this week. I mean, you're 2 hours away. I really can't do it. And press me. And I said, okay, this is a really good client of ours. It's been a loyal designer of ours for many years. Let me move some things and let me drive out and have this meeting. Now at the meeting, she says that she wants the revisions by the end of the week. I end up going Monday. I'm flying on Thursday. And I'm like, you already know that I'm leaving tomorrow for a funeral. You already know that. I'm going out of town. And she's like, right, but I'm going to need these by Friday. I'm seeing the client Monday. And the hindsight is that I should have said no. And I will never do that again. I will never do that again, because what happened was I ended up doing the revision quote, and in the master bedroom, I misquoted the yardage by 28 yards. Okay, so it should have been like 70 some, and I quoted like 40 some, and the fabric was $198 a yard net.
Eek.
And I don't know it until
Yikes.
3 months later, when I've got the fabric, got all the deposits, and I'm ready to go to production. So guess who paid for all of that difference in yardage? Yeah, my hand is up, because that was my mistake. Exactly. Right. She's not going to go back to her client and ask for, whatever that adds up to, how many thousands of dollars. Right. But the thing is, what I always say is the autopsy. So it's not only the autopsy of the profit and loss on a job, but it's the autopsy of your process, of your system, of your interaction, your involvement, your behavior. And I knew it's in that. I didn't know it when I was screaming and yelling and upset at myself that I had made this mistake. It wasn't until I even got a few weeks past it, and I sat and I said to myself, you did that entire thing under pressure, and a pressure that you had every right to say, I'm sorry, a really important person in my life has passed away. I'm not going to come through for you this week. I'll be back on the grid in 6 days. You know what I'm saying? Like the project's been
Right.
going on for
Right.
10 months. Like we have to do this now. And the thing is, in the moment, I really did feel like I had to. But it's not worth it because you know what?
Sure.
That mistake didn't just cost me money. This is the aha lesson. That mistake also compromised the designer. The designer had to turn around and say to her client, your master bedroom is going to be delayed by 8 weeks because that goofball LuAnn just found out that she ordered the wrong amount of yardage. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't just affect me.
Yeah.
It
Right.
affected her
It trickled
too.
down.
Yes. We're off tangent, but we're not, because the whole point that I wanted to express is that you have a high level of business acumen, and that I've come to understand that. And it's a high level of business acumen that you really need to cultivate and develop in order to be an entrepreneur, and that it also makes you a reliable partner when the designers want to come to you and do window treatments with you, that you have perspective, you have experience, you have expertise.
And I think, again, as I'm listening to you, that's why your company, my company, we are those full partners to our interior designers. As I was listening to you reading my bio, yes, I help them with window treatments. Yes, I help them with measuring. Yes, I help them to do all. But above and beyond, I'm like an extension of their team. So whatever it takes to do, whether it's communication, whether it's solutions, whether it's brainstorming, whatever it is, I'm the extension of their team, and they can completely rely on me for anything.
Yeah, no, that's the truth. And that's a valuable vendor. But anyway, so Vita, so now you go and you open your business, you research it. You decide that you're going to go into window treatment. So it wasn't like you were sitting around sewing window treatments in your closet every single weekend on the corporate. You made a business decision that this was a viable opportunity that you thought that you could make a contribution in, you could sink your teeth into. But you, like in typical Vita fashion, you went and got trained, right?
And in typical Vita fashion, I went and made up a spreadsheet. That's what I did.
Not at all surprised.
I had a spreadsheet of the pros and of the cons. And there was actually another business opportunity, which was a fitness center that I was measuring this window treatment opportunity again. So there were completely two different businesses. And, I never went into this being in love with window treatments, even though I knew how to sew in general. And I knew a lot of just from my fashion merchandising background. But it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't that I was sewing it on the side. I just looked at it strictly as, can I bring value to this? Can I do this? Can I make money at it? Because remember, I had a pretty nice living, seemingly nice living, actually, financially very nice living in corporate. So I had to make it up doing something else. So I went into the window treatment world eyes wide open in terms of my forecasts, my budgets, the P&Ls, what I had to do, what my expenses had to be and couldn't exceed, what the sales, I forecasted the sales. And then in terms of training, yes, to your point, I actually found a franchise that, this decision, we're kind of making, or maybe I'm making light of it, and it wasn't. It was a 2-year process. Yes, it wasn't let me, blink my eyes and snap my fingers and just quit corporate. It was a 2-year decision of me doing various research of various business opportunities, talking to 1 million people and reading 1 million books, and actually traveling across the country, interviewing various companies and potential franchises that I could buy into. And then, at one point, you just had to make a decision. And what I've learned through that process, actually, is that you can skew a pros and cons list whichever way you want.
This is true. You can.
You truly can. Yes, what you think is important, what you have like a benefit, right? Or you have a statement. And whether it's a pro and con, you have a statement, and it's kind of a neutral statement by itself, but you assign a value to it. It's a positive or a negative value. And you can also, I actually assign a numerical value to it from 1 to 10, kind of giving it a scale of importance. But that 1 to 10 could be a 5, a 7, a 9, a 10, a 1. So you can skew that whichever way you want. And so at the end of the day, LuAnn, I remember a month before I quit corporate, I was literally sick to my stomach.
I can imagine. That's a big
thinking
decision.
about it 24/7. Yes. And that was before kids, before I was married. So it's not like I had, a lot of responsibility, say, but still, it was such a huge decision for me that it made me physically sick. And I had to kind of become quiet with myself and my thoughts for not a minute, not an hour, but days and weeks sometimes, and really listen to my gut, really listen to my heart. And then you make the decision. And that's the hardest part in any decision making. I find that to be the hardest part, that road leading up to the decision. Once the decision is made, I mean, you're just full mode into execution, and you just one foot in front of the other, you just make it happen. But that journey leading up to it and making that hard decision, that is the hardest part. So I kind of listened to my heart and my gut, and window treatments, here I come.
So the thing for me is, I knew that you had done a tremendous amount of research, and I knew that it had come down to two companies, two types of industries, and I knew that you had evaluated it more than just, this looks like it would be a good career, but I didn't realize it was a 2-year process. So that's interesting. And so it's the thing is, what I love is in 500 plus interviews practically, well, 500 plus not on the air, but 500 plus done. What I've learned is that we think that we think that we're more alike than when we gel with somebody. We think that we probably make our decisions similarly, right? So I understand that I don't have the spreadsheet gene and that you do. Right. I
don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. Let me just put it out there.
Right. But I understand.
It is what it is. It's a neutral.
But I understand that we have opposite skill sets from that. Right. But what's funny is, and what's interesting to me is hearing you describe that process of that decision-making process, and that one sentence you said, that it's very hard leading all the way up to it. Then when you make decision and turn the corner, it's done. And it's funny, Vita, because that is not something that I struggle with. Right. And it's interesting. So I have lots of other things. There'd be other things that I would tell you, but I do not sit on decisions for that long. I do not debate them for that long. I do not. It's right or it's not right. And I think probably working with me the last several months, you probably have experienced a little bit of that. I'll gather information. I'm not a know-it-all. I need all my people around me to help me. But once I hear 2 or 3 opposing viewpoints, I add to it my own goddess check. It's like, boom, we're running.
Goddess check. I love it.
That's it.
That's what I'm going to call it. It's not a gut check. It's a goddess check.
That's it. It's a goddess check, right? What does the goddess say? Ask her. She knows.
Oh, that's great.
So it's just fun and it's interesting, and I think that it's funny because the more I gather my team of trusted people, I realize that each one has little nuances of different superpowers. And I think for you and me together, that long run up for you is probably something that I guarantee you mark my words, I'm telling it to you now, there'll be something that you come at me with and say, I know you're ready to move on this, but I need you to hear this one more time. This is my reservation. I would not be surprised if that happens. You see? And I will listen, and I might look at you and say, yeah, but I'm going, or I'll be like, yes, and I will listen. So, but it's, that we need all different things to be a productive and effective business owner. And I just look for my inner circle people to fill in the gaps for me where I know my gaps are. So,
No, that's just so smart. I was thinking about it just today in the shower, because that's what you do in the shower. You think about your business coach. And so I was thinking, there's lots of business coaches out there, LuAnn, right? That in this industry, other industries, whatever. But I don't know personally of a single one who is creating the type of team and empire, if you will, that you're creating. Seriously, it's a lot of them, they have their superpowers and they teach based on their superpower, and that's great. That's terrific. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you're the only one who goes beyond that. You're the one who has your superpower. Yep, that's what I'm strong and that's what I do. Boom. But I am also really strong at bringing amazing people to you, surrounding myself with amazing people, building that whole team and the empire, and delivering the whole package to my clients and potential prospects.
Well, right.
And that's amazing.
Well, and because look, because here's the thing. I say it all the time. Start with why. Start with why are you doing? What is your mission? What is your vision for your company? My mission and vision for the podcast is to help creatives be profitable. It's very simple. It's very direct. It's a straight line. You're all amazing at what you do from a creative standpoint. Let's put dollar bills in your pocket for that talent. Okay. And the simple fact is that I am not qualified to help you in every single aspect of that. I don't kid myself, but I still have that mission and vision. So that's why I have you. In this case, it leads us right into profit with window treatments. I am a window treatment professional. I got 20 more years on you, but you are the spreadsheet girl. You're the one who is going to break it down into a digestible 8-week module so that it can be duplicated. You could slit my wrist before I wanted to do that. There's no way. I'd be like, come with me every day of the week and learn it from me. I'll teach it to you as much as I can. But to take it and put it in a spreadsheet and a flow chart and all that, But I want for the interior designers to add this very profitable product line to their services, their Nancy G ladder of services. I want you guys to sell window treatments confidently. So yeah, and then I have Sarah. I want designers. I want you to have a clear vision of how you run the back end of your company, the process of your company. And guess what? Do I run an interior design firm? No, ma'am, I do not. But Sarah has really learned how to, in 2 years, really get clear on what she does, how she does it, how she delivers it, and how she charges for it. And with her superpower of having been a high school teacher and a middle school teacher, she easily just extrapolates that into a curriculum. So heck yeah, I'm going to leverage you guys that I've come across so that the rest of everybody benefits from it all day long. Because what does it do? It supports my vision and mission for a well-designed business podcast, right? That's what I want for people.
And in addition to that, I don't know if you know, we also amongst each other, we are helping each other too, because realizing what each other's superpower is and what is not. Like even just the very recent example that comes to mind, Sarah, who is like the genius at Instagram, and Vita, who is like #baby Instagrammer. I reached out to her just the other day and I'm like, Sarah, you are just killing it. You're amazing. Can you please teach me what you do? I will happily pay for it.
Right. And I'm sure she said, no, we're going to just work together.
That you bring
right.
to the table.
Exactly. And I love it. And so the thing is, the lessons to take back to your business are these. Number one, I wanted you to have a great understanding of Vita's skill set as an entrepreneur and the real true talent that is as much as her talent is measuring and collaborating with you on creating amazing window treatments, her talent is the full rounded ability as an entrepreneur to be profitable and to understand what it takes to be successful and what it takes to run a successful individual window treatment project. So that's number one. The second thing is to take away from this is that it does take a village. Whatever it is, if you need help with window treatments, then please join Profit with Window Treatments. It's profitwithwindowtreatments.com. If you need help with your processes, then please go to Process Leads to Profits and let Sarah help you with that. If you need to know what to do in a tough situation with a client, a trade, or a vendor, then join What Would Lou Do? I mean, because that's what I'm going to do all the time is talk about those nuances of conversations. But the idea is you don't do it alone. It's not possible to do it. It's possible to do it alone, but it's not possible to really do it exceptionally alone. Like my cousin Eileen says, right?
And you can't do it quickly either.
Right.
It's a much slower process, and it's a much more difficult process. It's a much more tumultuous process at that. So I just want to say something here that's really important to me. I mean, I say all the time that you're my business coach, but I really want to make this point clear on this podcast that you are my personal business coach. I mean, there's actual money exchanged here, and I call you or we schedule our appointments, very specific and legit and bona fide business advice. And part of the reason that I'm so successful in running my window treatment company is because I have always had business coaches from the very early start. And even though I've come from corporate and business coaches really weren't a thing there, at least at my level, but it became very, very clear to me very early on in my entrepreneurial career that by myself, I will not get anywhere fast, and I will not do it productively. And remember, being productive is very important to me, and quick has become important to me too, even though that decision took 2 years.
Well, and it's the truth, because like I love your description about shortening the time. You know what I'm saying? Because you can get there, but why? Why reinvent the wheel when somebody else ahead of you? And you know, it's the example that I use a lot, especially it relates to those of us that have kids. If your kid had an interest in softball, soccer, painting, piano, would you just be like, well, just, take the ball in the backyard, kid, and see if you can figure it out? No, you sign them up for teams, you sign them up for classes, you sign them up for coaching. You do everything you can to instruct, teach, guide, lead, encourage your child for success in that. And it's the same with our businesses. I don't know why entrepreneurs think that it's supposed to just be dumped into our brain rather than taught to us by others that have done it before us. And so smart people like you've had a business 14 years and you've always had a business coach, and it's just, I don't know. So I'm like, for me, I love this community of experts and consultants and designers that have all come through the podcast in every which way. And when I see somebody that fits in with my vision and mission for this podcast and can help and teach our designer community and our window treatment community to be more profitable, I'm going to figure out a way to leverage that and make it happen and get that knowledge in front of everybody else. So, Vita, your 8-week course, Profit with Window Treatments. I love that the first module is all about the money. Just to run through
money.
That's it. Run through some of the titles of the other modules. We're not going to go through the whole thing now. It's all on the website, profitwithwindowtreatments.com. You can see all the information there. But just run through some of the titles of the other modules.
So we will start with the money part, where we will talk about how to take control of your financials and how they're consequential to your window treatment business, how much window treatments cost and how much you can make with them, the difference between margins and markups and ballpark pricing and overcoming pricing objections. Then in the second module, we'll talk about systems and processes, how you can start running the window treatment part of your business more efficiently and more productively because of the very specific systems that I will be teaching that I'm employing in my own business. Then we will talk about some of the technicalities of the window treatments. Now, important part to mention here is that neither you nor I are interested in interior designers becoming absolutely hands down pros in every single nuance of the window treatment. Nobody wants to do that. It would be just too long and too complicated. But what we do want to give them, I want to teach them just enough of the technical language and technical concepts so that they can have an intelligent conversation with their workroom. And when the workroom says, no, it can't be done, because it happens, say, yes, I think it can, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is what I think it should be, because they will have enough of the knowledge basis to do that. Module 4 is how to put a work order together. So it is about some of the details that are important to specify so that nothing is left to guessing, because the designer has one vision and the workroom has a different understanding, and then a completely different product is produced. So that work order is really, really important. Then types and styles of window treatments. Of course, a ton of them, but I've learned over the years that are my go-tos, that are just the best and most effective in terms of the way they look and in terms of fabrication and in terms of ultimate customer satisfaction too. So that's what we'll be talking about there. Some of my go-tos, go-to hardware resources I will give them, my go-to styles, list of heart treatment resources they will receive as a result, and some of the must-know cheat sheets. Now, in Module 6, we will break down. Now, motorization is, of course, the hottest trend. It is also easily the scariest. But in this module, I will give you just enough information to stop leaving that money on the table because it seems so complicated and scary. To the intimidating meetings with either your GC or electrician and really know your stuff. All right.
Love it.
In the 7th module, we'll be talking about how to handle challenging conversations. That's something that half of this episode ended up being about, right? Because that's important. How to handle a challenging conversation with your client, how to handle with your workroom, with your installer, with your trade. So I will share some examples with you. I will share some lingo. And ultimately, you will get that supportive environment where you can feel empowered and confident. And then at the very end, we will tie it all in the bow and we will bring it all together. It will be time to, we've learned in the past 8 weeks, decide where's your strongest point, where you need the most help, how you can leverage your strength to build the best possible window treatment business you can have. You will devise a plan of action that will set your goals. And like you always say, LuAnn, your success starts with a decision.
That's it. I love it. I mean, this is why I asked you to teach this instead of me, because you're going to do it so well, Vita. I'm so thrilled and so happy. And I'm just, cannot imagine the benefit to every single interior designer that is going to be part of this class, because I love that don't leave the money on the table. And we know firsthand how intimidating the conversations can be, and we do it every day of the week. And so the goal is to give you enough experience, language, expertise, perspective to have a conversation that you have some confidence in. And of course, all through the 8-week course and then thereafter, we're not going to close it. The Facebook group will be there for questions in between. Tag me in the Facebook group. I will come in. I will answer a question. Vita will come in and answer a question. And it's just going to be a great place. I really feel like in 2020, any designer who is not specifying, I should say, window treatments, the amount of money that you can add in revenue to your business by just adding this one product line or really leaning into it and doing it at a much better level. And of course, we have the experience to help you vet the vendors that you might use. If you're, in our area, great. Yeah. Hey, we would love for you to work with us, but that has nothing to do with it. If you're in California or you're in Iowa, wherever you might be, we are happy to help you to figure out, how do I have the conversation with them? How do I set up my accounts? What can I expect from them? What can I expect that I should bring to the table? So love, love, love it. ProfitWithWindowTreatments.com. High five, Vita. High five. So I love it, Vita. Thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for, sharing your background and your history with us and, just your insights as a business owner and the trials and the tribulations and, what it kind of looks like when you get to the other side and you have a little confidence and you're standing on your 2 feet, right?
So, LuAnn, I wanted to, from the bottom of my heart, for giving me this opportunity, for picking me to be your co-pilot on the Window Treatment Fridays. It's been such a pleasure and so much fun, but mostly it's been an honor and a privilege to do this with you. I also, every time I listen to your episodes, and I almost never miss a single one, I think about every time what an incredible opportunity it is for people light on. And the fact that you chose me today, again, so humbling, and it's such a privilege. And I really, really appreciate that. And what I would like to leave you with is, I think were on one of our coaching calls, and you gave me a piece of serious advice. I asked you some serious questions. You gave me some serious answers. And I know for a fact that a lot of other people would have rejected it because it's hard to implement, to do what you told me to do. And I know because I've heard it too many times, other window treatment people would have said, yes, but it won't work for me. My situation's different, but I want this, I want that, whatever. I didn't do that. I take your advice. I take your time very seriously. I take your advice very seriously. And I just close my eyes and I say, well, that's what LuAnn said. That's what I'm going to do. And I did. And in 2019, because of it, I increased my business by 35%.
Oh, my God. I'm so excited. So did you hit your number that we said we wanted to hit last year in 2018 when we had that conversation?
I forget what number that was. We said for 2021, we said $1 million.
Yeah, but
so I'm well on my way. I'm at 700,000.
That's it. That was your number. You were at 5, and you said I can never break 700,000. And we had a conversation. I was like, you have to do this and this, and you just. I remember your eyeballs. You looked at me like, and you don't say the words I can't do that, but you did it, Vita, and you put $200,000 of revenue on your business in 1 year. I love it. That's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. If I remember it correctly, you were at 450 and you wanted to hit 700. And I said, this is the number one way to do it.
And LuAnn, who says that you're not good with numbers? I can't even remember that.
No, I do remember that. I do remember that conversation. That's awesome. That's awesome. Good for you, Vita. But, that also is a testament to you as a business person that you understand that if you're going to seek out advice and pay for that advice, that you'd be well advised to at least try it. Right? It's kind of like, what is the point?
Otherwise, it's just a waste of time for everybody.
Right.
So what is the point?
That's right. But you are one of my favorite type of business owners, and it's what I say on every show. It's yes, 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 listen, 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 but you must decide. You must make the decision to execute. You must make the decision that you want your business to be better. So it's a perfect place to say thank you to you, Vita, and to say to all of our friends, decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.